headlights never seem to change. Day in and day out, they always stay the same. Concrete's growing, the city's moving in, and there's progress for progress' sake. They think they know what's best for us and how to change our backwards ways. We stand for the flag. You can be damn sure that we're thankful for everything we have. We love this land. Every inch paid for by blood and sweat and the strength to take a stand. You might think that it's a relic or a right. Way out here, we still stand for the flag. The men that died, gave their lives, knew what they were fighting for. Sacrifice and innocence left on a foreign shore. These colors still fly here high and proud, the red, the white, the blue. If you think they're coming down, I got some news for you. We stand for the flag. You can be damn sure that we're thankful for everything we have. We love this land. Every inch paid for by blood and sweat and the strength to take a stand. You might think that it's a relic or a right. Way out here, we still stand for the flag. From sea to shining sea, there's still a lot of good old boys like me. We stand for the flag. You can be damn sure we're thankful for everything we have. Love this land. Every inch paid for by blood and sweat and the strength to take a stand. You might think that it's a redhead or a rag. Way out here, we still stand for the flag.
Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Mic in hand, ready for deployment. Podcast feels heavy as the ointment. Veteran tales straight from the trenches. Pop culture splices, pulling down the fences. HomeFront Sitrep, stories that collide. Veterans speaking truth, no reason to hide. Gritty and raw podcast on replay, decoding the past, paving the way. War zone whispers, bullets and bombs. Back to civilian ticking like a time bomb. Medals on the mantle, stars on the mind. Every episode another mystery to find. HomeFront Sitrep, voices from the fight. Veterans sharing dark, stepping into light. Real life saga, not some fairy tale. Truth and resilience, never gonna fail. HomeFront Sitrep, stories that collide. Veterans speaking truth, no reason to hide. Gritty and raw podcast on replay, decoding the past, paving the way. War zone whispers, bullets and bombs. Back to civilian ticking like a time bomb. Medals on the mantle, stars on the mind. Every episode another mystery to find. Legacy 11X, story of Marines. Army anecdotes, Gulf War scenes. Vietnam echoes, desert storm sounds. Podcast chronicles, glory and bounds. HomeFront Sitrep, honesty is core. Veterans laying bare what they endure. From the front lines to the homebound grief, episodes of grit, grind through the grief.
Welcome, everybody, to a Monday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. How is everybody doing? Gunny, how are you, sir?
Good, man. Rested up after a week of fishing. Brought 6 Purple Heart recipients in fishing for that good Kentucky crappie, and they all went home with full bellies and bags of fish. And yeah, rested from that. Ready to get this week going.
Heck yeah. Miss Candace, welcome back. How are you?
Wonderful. I feel right at home. I've missed it so much. I'm back.
Man,
I'm back.
We are glad you're back. You have missed a lot since you've been gone.
I know.
We have, as of today, we do have HomeFrontSitrep.com, so everybody can go check out HomeFrontSitrep.com. It's still a work in progress, so bear with us on that. We're going to be adding every nonprofit that we've had on the show since we started. We're going to have them on there listed with their contact information and all of that. Then we're going to have a page that's dedicated to the veteran singers, authors, business owners. We're going to have a page for all of that as well. But man, I tell you what, I'm glad to see your face, Miss Candace.
Well, this wouldn't be me without being me. What else can people do with this website? Can they sponsor it? Can they schedule a podcast?
Yes. So I am going to put a calendar on there where people can come on there and schedule, a meet and greet first. Definitely do meet and greets. And then I'll have it set up where they'll be able to go to a link and schedule the podcast episode. Because right now we're booked out to June. I think I have 2 dates left in June, and then we're going to start July. So man, we have some cool episodes. Like tonight, he's in the green room right now waiting. I'm going to throw this up because I didn't throw it up at the beginning of the show. I'm going to throw this up. So we got Mr. Eric Donoho coming on. Let me get rid of this real quick. Who is an Army veteran, Army infantry guy. So we'll give him that there. We won't hold the Army against him. He's also the author of Canyon of Hope. And then he's also created Hand Up LLC, and then he's got all kinds of things going on. So we're going to bring him up here in just a little bit and talk about what he's got going on. And but yeah, so with the website, we got all kinds of things, Miss Candace, that I'm planning on putting on there. So yeah, super excited about it. And then we officially ordered our HomeFront Sitrep coins today. They will be shipped in 4 to 6 weeks. I cannot wait to see the things that Gunny has, the coin that Gunny has created and put it in my hand. I'm super excited about that. We're probably going to be selling those for $15 a piece plus $5 shipping and handling, so $20 total. That way we can just keep replenishing them as we go. That's why we're selling them at a cheaper price than what we could probably sell them at. So but I want to give a shout out to all of our people out there watching, whether you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or TikTok, because we are streaming live on TikTok as well. So but it's been a busy day today, let me tell you. I felt like Gunny. I had to take a nap earlier. I went and crashed out on the couch for about 2 hours. So
Had time to do that.
Hey, I was off work. I had to take work. I had 2 doctor's appointments today. So I had one at 11 and then I had one at 3:45. So I had a little bit of time to do that.
Well, that's the joys of being retired, is I can take a nap whenever I need it.
All right, both of you. I had to run in the house, change my shirt, and hop in here.
Well, you're not wearing the right shirt. You should be wearing this one.
Well, I mean, it is coffee weather.
Sure.
For me, it's all wet weather, but right now.
Some people drink coffee year round, so coffee weather could be anytime.
It's my lifeline. But yeah, Lauren, I agree with you. What's a nap?
What's a nap? Well, see, that's my sister up in Michigan. She's got what, 3 or 4 kids and they're young. She ain't got time for a nap. So, but
You
anywho,
have two.
I know, but mine are old. They're self-sufficient.
One has 4. No, you have.
Willis.
You just wish for one.
They're old. They're old enough to care for themselves. They're not old.
What does that make you, Willis? If they're old?
Well, you see this gray in my beard, right? I'm old.
No, that's just from the girls.
Yeah, that is true. Especially we just had prom.
Both of them.
And you know that they had the nerve to say, Dad, can we bring everybody back to the house and sleep in the living room? Hail to the no. Hail to the no. I don't care.
At least they come back to your house.
I don't care. It ain't gonna happen. No, nope, not gonna happen.
Girls upstairs, boys in the basement.
No, they all wanted to be in the living room. No. No, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. But anyway, prom's over. Now we're moving on to graduation in a few months. Yay, me.
Yeah, but you know what? Right now you have fun stuff. You think yay me right now, but it's fun stuff.
Yeah.
And things you're gonna look back and go, can we do that? Like,
I'm glad I have boys. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because you only have to worry about one. I got to worry about every other swing in one. So, yeah, there's that. But anywho, let's bring our guest up. Are y'all ready to talk to Mr. Eric?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Welcome, Mr. Eric. How are you, sir?
Hey, how's it going, brother? How's it going, everyone?
Hanging in there. Hanging in there. So, did you have a good week so far?
You know what? It's starting off busy, and I feel everyone who says I'm ready to take a nap, I actually am ready to take a nap.
Hey, I hear you, man. Well, welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. We got you. Rich LaMonica sent you to us, and I'm super honored to have you on here to tell your story because you have a pretty amazing story. So, if you don't mind, introduce yourself to the world of HomeFront Sitrep, if you don't mind.
Yeah, my name's Eric Donoho, retired sergeant from the U.S. Army, and I know I got some Marines here. Hey, even you guys need heroes. That's why they sent us to go help you for over 14 months in Karma, Iraq. Matter of fact, I wear the second meth patch on my Class A's.
Talking about 14 months in the past 250 years of the Marines. Sorry.
I mean, if everybody could be a Marine, it'd be the Army.
There we go.
I love it. Oh, I absolutely loved it. Some of the best experience I had while I was in country was actually my time working with you all. It was very targeted. It was no nonsense, and it was let's get the work done, and let's try to be as safe and careful about each other as we can, and very different than the way it was when we were in the Army. Just putting it out there.
Eric, what year were you at Karma? What year were you in Karma?
So we got tasked right. I spent New Year's Eve 2006 at the IP station right off of Route Chicago by the Lollipop. And that was, I think, our first weekend there. And then we were there all the way, I want to say, well, we might have been there a week earlier than that. And then we were all the way there through October, almost October.
So you were there with 2-2.
Yeah. Matter of fact, just the way it worked out, because you had to have 30 days with each, group to get the combat patch. We actually, the way that your cycle fell, we actually are allowed to wear 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, nice.
And so, for me, that time frame was probably the hardest fought time frame, because we came up from Cal Su, which was down near Escandaria and the Najaf area. Babel Providence is what it was called. And so that was kind of like more just keeping the peace between the sectarian violence that was going on. Whereas, moving into Karma was like, wow, okay, this is straight Al Qaeda and they don't like us. So it was an interesting move, but working with the Marines was fun. Y'all love to run and I love to run. So we all got along great.
Yeah, Marines are bloodthirsty. When they smell blood, they go for it full bore. So, yeah.
All right.
Well, and
tell us more about yourself. We totally squirreled on Marines, and they're not what matter right now. You are.
So, I'm really not that special. The truth is, I'm like any other grunt that went over to war and had to deal with what they had to deal with at war, and then come home and figure out how to live their life moving forward. Really, and I mean that, as far as I know lots of people who have gotten blown up more times than me. I know lots of people who are more severely injured from a physical standpoint. I could go on and on. So there's nothing, I hate it. It's not that I hate it. It's just that the reason I wrote the book and the reason that I ended up on this podcast is because not enough people are giving that regular veteran a voice, right? The people who get the noise, and albeit, there's nothing wrong with it, just typically are not representative of the overall larger veteran population and what we're dealing with on a daily basis. And so, I always like to caveat that is I'm really not any different. I'm not any more special. I'm just somebody who God chose to give some words and a message in a book that's starting to resonate with people. And that message is about moral injury and how, when you go to war, you have anything traumatic that happens in life, you're going to have situations that, put chinks in that armor that protect our spirit and our core. And then if enough of those chinks happen, we're going to find ourselves hurting. And, we don't talk about that injury enough. We talk about PTSD, we talk about physical injuries, we talk about mental health, but we don't talk about our spiritual health in any real way whatsoever. And so that's kind of how I ended up, on Rich's show and how I ended up here.
Heck yeah. Now you got Hand Up LLC, and then there was something else too. I remember seeing another LLC that you created. What was the other one?
Yeah, so I for me, like many veterans, when I came home, I was medically retired, and I tried sitting on the couch broken for years, and I didn't have purpose, and that lack of purpose is in part what drove me to my kitchen table trying to eat my Glock. And in realizing and trying to assess that situation and address all of the issues, I realized that purpose was a big component that I was missing in my life. And I also realized that my disabilities that I do have from the military weren't going to allow me to go work at a 40-hour-a-week job. And so what I started to do was just lean into things that helped me recover while at the same time gave me purpose. So back in 2017, Prudential Retirement actually put me in business. And because they gave me a hand up, that's how the company Hand Up LLC came into existence. And so it first started with me just selling my landscape photography and designing corporate Fortune 500 spaces and doing some speaking about resilience. And then COVID happened. And when everyone went home, all my contracts for landscape photography and designing of office spaces went away. I'm not a huge name, so all of the speaking engagements that I had with, VetNet groups and things along those lines went away. And so I kind of had to repivot, and my background is in construction and real estate. So I ended up getting my real estate license, and I started Hand Up Realty. And I've been doing that. And I've been doing that for the last few years. Just recently, I actually turned in my license to focus on my book full time and talking about moral injury, because I do believe that's the largest driver of veteran suicide.
Yeah, for sure. Now we are streaming to TikTok. I don't know if you know much about TikTok, but the S word they don't like, so we have to say unalive, just for TikTok purposes. Unfortunately,
Okay.
they're very strict about that. So, yeah, a lot of times when veterans, like I know with my situation, I got out in 2001, right before 9/11 happened, and I didn't have that time for the sense of purpose and loss of identity, because as soon as 9/11 happened, I knew I was going right back in. But when I got out in 2004, I lost that sense of purpose. I lost that identity of who I was, and I went down a rabbit hole. And I never got to the point where the demons took over and just consumed my whole life. Um, but I could see how a lot of veterans out there that go that route, take that route. And we're building a community within TikTok and other platforms to help combat that, because the way we look at it, back in the early 2020, back then, and even earlier on, a lot of these veteran service organizations out there, they didn't want to work together with other organizations. They wanted to focus on just themselves. And we have found that the more we work together, the more we can help combat the 22 a day, which we all know that number skewed, because it's more like 40 to 50 a day right now when it comes to that. And I love the fact that here somebody gave you a hand up, and you started a company called Hand Up LLC, and now you're giving back to the veteran community. That's friggin' phenomenal.
Well, the purpose of it wasn't to make a whole bunch of money. The purpose of it was purpose. And so within that, that's how I also, my best friend, the one who I called when I was at my lowest, he ended up taking his own life. And in response to that, I ended up helping a disabled children's center in Nepal, where I was going to do a photography shoot for an expedition. And this center was a part of our expedition. And so in order to, honor him and try to change that negative into a positive, I took 8 wheelchairs over, and then that blossomed into the wheelchair repair center for all of Nepal. And since 2018, well over 1,000 wheelchairs have been delivered. And then again, starting in 2018, I've been on the Hill working with these VSOs, helping to pass legislation, starting from the 988 Suicide Hotline Act, through Mission Act, PACT Act, Elizabeth Dole Act, really any of the major pieces of veteran legislation that have gone through since 2018. I've had some input or worked in some way on either sharing my story, leading veterans on the Hill, advocating for them, or however, that works. So that's all been funded by my LLC. So it's not a nonprofit, and that's why I include the LLC so people understand. But that's how and where the money goes from the nonprofit, along with investing in things like the book and veteran-owned businesses and entrepreneurs and things along those lines.
That's awesome. Yeah, we've talked to several veteran advocates out there that deal with like senators and stuff, from different states. Like Kimberly Moyers from Texas, she's working with Congressman Latrell out there, and I love that there's veterans in places that are advocating for other veterans, within the Congress, within Congress, and to help make changes to things. I know a lot of people don't like the 988, just for the simple fact that they say it don't work, which I've heard good things about it, and I've heard bad things about it. And what I always tell people is, um, if you call that number and you get somebody that you don't like and you don't feel comfortable with, you hang up, dial back, and get somebody different. And you keep doing that until you do get somebody. One thing that I would suggest for the 988 people, and we've had conversations about this with other groups, is to hire veterans to to answer the phone call for other veterans. Because I know for me, if I'm calling and I'm having a bad day, I would rather talk to a veteran on the other end that might have a similar story to mine, um, than I would a civilian that don't understand what I went through. So, like, I could talk to Gunny about a lot of my situation, because Gunny and we served together, and we were there at the same time when some of this stuff went down, and we've had very good, very similar situations. So I love the fact, and I want to get more involved in the political side of things for helping veterans. That's something that I've always wanted to do, because we have our Communication Workers of America union, or we have a veterans committee there, and we do a bunch of LPAT stuff with them. So it's always intriguing to see what kind of laws are being passed, and to help veterans, and then which laws are out there that are detrimental to veterans. So yeah, but yeah, that's my thing on that. And Ty says veteran peer counselors.
I don't disagree with you at all as far as the 988 suicide hotline. What I would say is that if you're a veteran, press 1, and you should be connected with another fellow veteran who's been hired in there. That is the idea. If you press 1, with that being said, that's not always the case. And I also think that, while we say this, it's also, I preface this by saying the people who are calling in are having the worst day of their life. And so, with that being said, I'm not sure anyone on the other end of that line is necessarily equipped always to handle every single person on the worst day of their life. And in all of it, there is a level of, some realization that you have to have as an individual, that you're asking somebody on the other end to try to help you through that worst day, right? Like, there has to be grace on your side too, if you're looking for it for somebody else. And that's really what goes back to that moral injury component.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Most of the time when people call 988, they are, like you said, they're having probably the worst day of their life. And we do have to have, I guess, as veterans, we have to have that patience for the person on the other end. But a lot of times, if we're at that point where we're thinking about eating a pew pew, then we've already lost all that patience
right
at that point. So
agreed, which makes it difficult all the way around.
Yeah.
Which is why I agree. It's like, in saying that, I wasn't trying to take away the onus of that veteran. What I'm saying is it's hard to skew the negatives that come out of it, because unless you're on that situation and you hear the call itself between the two people, it's really hard to if somebody walked away and they're like, oh, I didn't get what I needed. Well, you may not. Like, that's
Yeah.
just the thing. You may not. Like, I hate to say that, but you made that call because you don't want to take your own life. So you're taking that responsibility. You're taking that step forward. You're cognitive enough of it. So that's my point of saying that,
Yeah.
give some grace to that people on the other side.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And I have been on both sides, right? Like, I've been the guy who's gotten called and tried to be there for the person on the other side, and I've been the person who's called. And I know for a certainty that on either side, you want to try and give your best. It's just really difficult because somebody is having the worst day of their life.
For sure. Miss Candace, you got any questions?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right.
I
Let's
save it all.
see. I know.
Well, I mean, so I was reading up a little bit about you. So you are a Purple Heart recipient. And I know you started this off with like all the hoorah and stuff like that, but you are one. What happened?
Yes. I got blown up too many times. I got blown up by 2 IEDs, 1 EFP, and survived a multiple Katyusha rocket attack.
Wow. Okay.
But again, like, I mean, I say that like it's not a big deal, and I get that to a lot of people it is, but I mean, you guys know what it was like to drive Route Chicago in Karma, right? You know what Fallujah was like. This is not uncommon to any of your brothers or sisters who rolled down that road all the time. And so I say that because I just think that sometimes the narrative gets lost that, somehow or another people who have, found ways through are somehow necessarily like up here, and we're not. It's just, we saw an opportunity in our life to go a different direction, and it opened up space for me to, really look at what happened to not just war, but what happened after life. Like the book itself, Canyon of Hope, war is only a chapter in that book, because for me, that was just a chapter. But on the backside to it, life itself kept hitting even after I got out of the military. And everybody had always acted like when I was going to be medically retired, that somehow my life would magically get better. And, all of a sudden, everything was just going to magically go away. And I was going to feel a whole lot better about everything. And my brain was going to work better. And I was going to not have to cuss every 10 sentences or 10 words and all of these things, because everything was going to get better. And that's not what happened. I got out. My wife and I were getting in shape to go on a vacation. She tore her Achilles tendon. Then we had another miscarriage after losing our son, David, right before we went to war. And then she had a rare form of breast cancer. And all of these things are happening all that time while I'm trying to still deal with war and decompress. And so it wasn't just war. It's all that life throws at you after that. And for me, it was just the realization that somewhere along the line, one of those hits that life gives you, I just stopped getting back up. And I realized it was easier to take the kicks than it was to take the hits to the face. And so I just stayed down. And eventually, when you stay down like that and you don't continue to try to strive and grow like you do in the military, you definitely lose that purpose. You definitely feel invaluable. Like you don't have any value. You don't have any gifts to give this world. And that's just not true.
Yeah. We as veterans, for the most part, regarding of what happened in our military service, there's some Medal of Honor recipients out there. There's Purple Heart veterans like Sam here and you. We don't see our service as you know, coming back and being heroes or anything like that. We don't want to be looked at like that. I know I don't. I know Sam don't. Me and him talked about it several times. We signed we signed our name on that dotted line because we wanted to serve our country and protect our country. And whatever happened during our service, we wanted to leave it there, you know. And I know Sam, he don't talk about it a lot about his story because it's just part of his, it's a chapter of his life, you know. And I think it's where a lot of people, you know, get the misconception. If you're a Medal of Honor recipient or a Purple Heart recipient, they put you on this pedestal. And a lot of you guys don't want that. You don't want to be on that pedestal. For one, it adds more stress to your life. A lot more stress than what you want to deal with at that time. Even, you know, 10, 20 years later, you still don't want to deal with that stress. So I applaud you for, in your book, making that just one chapter and then talking about everything else that you had to deal with in your life. And when it comes to the miscarriage, I understand what you mean by that, because the wife and I had two, and you know, the last one really tore me up because we went in, heard the heartbeat that day, and then came home, and that night she had a miscarriage, and it just tore me up, you know, because I was there, I heard the heartbeat, everything looked good, and then, you know, a couple hours later, here we are, you know. That's tough. Really, really tough.
There's so much to that, and there's so much of this is perspective, and so much of this is people like me being on the civilian side of this, knowing the appropriate way to approach, to respect, to not cross a boundary. And yeah, Purple Hearts, I mean, Jesus, like something had to happen for that to come about. And no, you guys aren't going to see that as it's not a badge of honor. There's some out there that will hold that, but for you, in your minds, that's not a badge of honor. That's something that you went through in your life that it's not really something you want to continue to relive. It's something you want to be able to grow past and be able to grieve it and let it go.
I think it depends.
But the reality is
led to it, though.
Sure. But the thing is, so I guess I see where I approach this a little differently than most people would, where they are putting those on a pedestal. And it's like, I look at the three of you and I can look at somebody that was medically discharged from boot camp, and I have the same respect for them. You guys stand on the same pedestal for me. You're all on one, period. And it doesn't matter what your rank was or what happened to you there. You signed a line and you went to do something for my freedoms so that I can live the life that I live. So I believe there's some of this is teaching the civilian population of, hey, like, respect the boundary, respect the questions that you don't ask, just appreciate the service, tell them thank you. Let their demons lie. Don't try to dig those out. And I think some people push so much to get those because they want to know. They're like, oh, it's something exciting, something I could never experience. I want to hear about it. Sure, there's an intriguingness to that. But we got to teach them the respect first.
Well, I often say veterans just in general shouldn't be put on a pedestal. I mean, in my opinion, number one, I'm not going to sit here and say that there were all these noble reasons. There was some personal reasons that I wanted to challenge myself and see where I was, but it was a job. And the bonus that they paid me was ridiculous when I joined at 26. So like for me to take that on, to say, oh, I'm willing to do something other people aren't, I saw it as a job and a way to challenge myself and to see if I was made of the same steel that my old man was, who was a Green Beret and Ranger in Vietnam. And so, for me, it was that challenge. And then secondly, the other reason I say that is because when I look at like the female population and the veterans, when we put all veterans up, 1 out of every 3 females are at best sexually harassed, if at not worst, sexually assaulted. And most of those individuals go on to become veterans out in the veteran world, paying no penalty for any of those things. And I'm not even just talking about female veterans. There is a whole undercurrent of male sexual assault that happens in the military too, that is not talked about and that is incredibly prevalent. And so when I try to communicate, like, how should we handle the veteran community? How should we look at the veteran community? Yeah, you really have to take each veteran on their own. And you have to evaluate each veteran based on the merit that they're demonstrating with you in that scenario. And then number two, understand that, like, while I appreciate the admiration, because not everybody would do it, it was just a job to me. And from that, I gained a brotherhood I would not have, and a life I would not have at all. Like, I wouldn't be able to buy the houses that I bought. I wouldn't be able to have the ability to do Hand Up LLC. Like, I wouldn't have anything that I have in my life today without the military and my service. So I'm more grateful that I was let and given the opportunity to serve than I am more comfortable with people thanking me for that service.
And that's truly the idea of perspective.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. And I mean no disrespect at all in it. I'm just trying to give another opinion on it.
Absolutely.
Or perspective.
Love about HomeFront is the difference of opinions, because and I don't think that there's like a difference. I think it's like I said, it's purely perspective. And I think it's really critical for like what you want and how you feel, because Sam, I'm sure, feels the same way. He doesn't think that he's anything special, but you look at the three of you just right here on the screen and what you've taken from your past and now what you're doing with it. That's respect. And just that you had the ability to come back from something and be able to do good for your brothers and sisters. It's admirable.
Sorry, my dogs are barking. But no, so it is perspective. So, when I joined the military, it was because kind of I needed to get out of my hometown. Of course, I knew at a very early age that I was joining the military. I just didn't know what branch at a very early age. But when it came to that point in life where I was like, hey, I'm going down a path that I shouldn't go down. I'm going into the military now. And I joined the Marine Corps, and it was probably the best decision I ever made. And what I have done since getting out of the military, with the volunteering with all these different nonprofits, becoming a board member of nonprofits, and then starting this podcast to give back to my brothers and sisters out there, highlighting all these different veteran service organizations, highlighting other veterans that have a story to tell, or veteran singers, you name it. We bring them on here. To me, I'm a little bit selfish, right? Because this is my therapy. And I hate to use the word selfish, but me doing this is my therapy. It helps me keep my demons at bay. And I get to hear, stories from my brothers and sisters out there that are giving back to the veteran community in one way or another. Like you're there on the Hill, helping getting laws passed that's going to help the the veteran community. And then like Sam and I and Candace, we're here doing a podcast where other veterans can come on, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever they're watching, to heal and find out about these resources like Warriors Next Adventure in Minnesota, or Mended Sparrow in Virginia, or Project Zero with Cal Shudik in Texas, or Team Never Quit in Texas as well. That's that's what we do. And this is, and I've never wanted to be on a pedestal. Like, it's not nothing that I've ever looked for. I would rather be behind the scenes and doing everything from behind the scenes and let somebody else take credit for, things that we get accomplished. And that's kind of where I think us three veterans, that's where our mindset is. We would rather be behind the scenes and helping our brothers and sisters that way. So
I mean, I think anybody does it for the right reasons does want the same thing.
yeah, if they're doing it for the right reason, yes.
Right.
So, Mr. Eric, so your book, Canyon of Hope, where can people buy your book, and where's the best place for them to buy your book for you?
So they can buy the book on Amazon. They can buy it at my website, They can buy an autographed copy at my website, ericdonoho.com. They can get it on Kindle, Apple, anywhere you get books, really, it is available. I'm working on the audio book now. I did think recording it, and my wife talked me into being the voice of the audio book. So that way my kids always have me telling the story,
Nice.
because it largely mirrors, our story and our life. And so I didn't realize how difficult that was actually going to be. This is so much easier than reading that book. And I have dyslexia too. So like the whole thing is just a challenge in itself. And I never saw me actually being the one to read it. So that will be coming out hopefully in the next couple of months.
I think I do nothing but Audible. I've read one book since I got blown up. Everything else is Audible.
That's me too. Yeah.
Of the books that I've listened to, the ones that I enjoy the most are the ones that are read by the author, because there's a sense of sincerity when it's being read, right? And if there gets to be a point in that book where you're like, oh, let me explain this a little bit more, you can do that. If you have somebody else read it, they're just going word by word, period, question mark, comma, whatever. You as the author can elaborate more to what is that section of the book. So yeah, I will definitely be purchasing that once it hits Audible. But
Yes, for sure.
I appreciate that. And I also appreciate the advice. That's, everybody has been saying that. So it's good to hear the reinforcement of doing it. 'Cause it's like, it's a challenge. This whole book has been a challenge. I was raised by a quiet professional, and while I never got the opportunity to test, that was beat into me from a young age. And so it is odd being out front on things and trying to be the one to get a movement around moral injury. Which, I know that we don't have much time left, but real quick, I keep hitting on moral injury. And the reason that I keep hitting on moral injury is because there is a study that came out of the New Jersey VA that stated the individuals who are suffering from moral injury are at the highest risk, meaning they are the most likely group to actively pull the trigger. And in the process of looking at that information, I wanted to break down, well, what does that mean? What kind of people, would tend to be susceptible to moral injury, that sort of thing. And so what, the research and looking at it, anyone who has a spiritual affiliation. And I was like, well, this will be really easy to figure out. DOD tracks this. So, the most recent number from DOD on religious affiliation, across the board is just over 71%. And then a study that came out from Freedom Religious Institute, I believe, I may be wrong on that name, but it's something similar to that name. They came out with a study that highlighted that in the veteran community, that same religious affiliation to some sort of spiritual connection is above 91%. And so when I started looking at that, I was like, well, that computes to how many, about the portion of guys that would pray before we go outside the wire on a mission. And so if you're a veteran out there and you've been actively working on PTSD for years and nothing's gotten better, look into moral injury. It's an injury to the soul. It produces the same symptoms as PTSD, but it will not get any better if you do not treat it specifically, because the treatments for PTSD will not make you get better.
Interesting.
That's very interesting.
I listened to one book, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but they said that every injury, whether it physically happened to you or happened to one of your teammates, is a soul wound, right? So that moral injury. So every single person that has been to combat, war, conflict, everybody who has experienced doing, humanitarian work and seeing, how those people live, like Willis and I in Haiti in '99, watching, that third world country stuff. We see things that the average person back here is not going to see. So throughout the course of your career, whether it's the 4 years or 40 years, you're going to experience so many things that you wouldn't experience back here that slowly picks at your soul and creates more and more and more of that moral injury. So one of the things I started doing is looking at post-traumatic growth. And one of the areas of growth is a spiritual side. And you don't have to be, Christian or Catholic or whatever, you just have to have a firm belief in something greater than yourself. Right.
Amen.
So I would also encourage people to look at post-traumatic growth. UNC Charlotte did an amazing study down there, along with Ken Falk, who wrote a book, and I can't remember, I don't have it right here. But it all talks about post-traumatic growth and the areas of growth that you experience or you can experience from a traumatic event.
Yeah, well, and it's I agree wholeheartedly with you. And moral injury is just really it's just really your inability to have faith in something. And you've lost that faith in whatever it is because of what you've witnessed over time. So, I love post-traumatic growth. I hate when people talk about disorder. It's not a disorder. Anybody who would go through traumatic situations deals with the same thing. Whether it's a home invasion here stateside, you wake up in the middle of the night and see someone standing at you, looking at you, who is a stranger and wants to rob you, or whether you're in a wartime situation, you're going to face things that you're going to have to deal with and overcome. And looking at it from a growth perspective and mindset puts it in a positive light, rather than, like there's something wrong with you, which is partly what's happening in the VSO community across the way. Is veterans are consistently getting painted as broken and that we need handouts rather than hand-ups. And the real reality is, there are over 2.2 million veteran small-owned businesses in America that employ over 5.5 million Americans and generate $1.3 trillion in receipts. So, like, to sit here and say we're broken, I mean, that's kind of hard to say. We make up 8% of the small businesses. That's down from 11% over the last 5 years, because we're not focusing on growth for veterans. We're not focusing on purpose. We're not focusing on what's next. We're just telling you you're broke and here's a handout, or here's some pills, or, here, let's talk about it. But there's also evidence out there that shows the more you talk about a problem, the worse the problem gets. So there always has to be that, fine line or double-edged sword that you ride.
Well, I mean, that's
Oh, yeah.
important. Back to each individual veteran.
Yes,
They need
agreed.
a different way. Some people this will work and some people that won't. So it's case by case for sure.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the more I talk about the things that I saw while I was in Haiti and other things that we saw while we were in the military, it does help me minimize my demons. Like it never eliminates the things that I see. It has helped minimize the night terrors and stuff like that, but they're still there. They're always there, and it could flare up any moment. Like I could be driving down Grade Lane and smell the landfill that's there on a hot summer day, and it transports me right back to Haiti. Gunny can tell you that smell in Haiti was just terrible, and it just certain sounds trigger me, smells, and I try my darndest to keep those demons at bay, and especially with my wife and kids, I tried very wholeheartedly to keep it away from them, so they don't have to deal with secondary PTS. And For the most part, I've done good, but there's been times where I'm having a bad day and I just snap, no reason, I just snap. And then that starts off the day just terrible for the whole family. So talking about it sometimes helps, sometimes it doesn't help. So yeah. So you also have so on your website, I know we are running short on time here. So people can go to your website, ericdonoho.com, which is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's the featured collection. So you got the autograph copy, which is $15.99. You got a Canyon of Hope bookmark for $7.99. Then you got the Canyon of Hope acrylic paint for $150, and then you got Canyon of Hope for $45. Is that what is that, like a photography or?
Yeah, so the front cover of the book, the front cover of the book is actually a photo that I took in the Gila National Wilderness in New Mexico on my first veterans trip I did with No Barriers Warriors after my suicide attempt. And as I was walking in this canyon, the way the environment mirrored how I was feeling my life was apparent. I was in the shadows, but for the first time, as I walked in this canyon, there was light at the end of it. And so I became obsessed in that trip, trying to capture like that one perfect, like photography, perfect picture that I could put up on my wall when I came home to remind me that no matter how dark things get, there's always light at the end of the canyon. Because just like you said, in talking with so many countless World War II vets that I've been lucky enough to talk with, they've all told me the same thing. You're never going to forget what's tattooed on your brain, but you can reframe how it impacts your life.
Yeah.
And I think that is the whole process, in all of this, is that every single veteran is going to be unique. They're going to have to walk their own process, but they are going to be drawn into one kind of area or not. Like if you're a veteran who likes outdoors and you haven't done outdoor therapy yet, maybe you should give it a try, right? Like start to reach. It just takes one rung at a time. And the more successes you have in accomplishing things that scare you, or things that, you're like, well, I don't know if that's for me. Well, go try it. See if it is. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah. So outdoor therapy is one of my resets. Gunny's is fishing. Gunny just got back
Both
from
yes.
So
have
Gunny
you been up
just
to
got back from a
Alaska?
week-long fishing.
My heaven is the Kenai in Alaska. That's where I was stationed for, and my wife is born and raised from. So we're back there every year. And the Kenai is like, that is my heaven. That is,
we stay lodge on the Kenai.
Nice. That is my.
What, Candace?
Good, Sam. Sorry. He
Oh
stopped.
no, go ahead.
Is my favorite button on that website.
Your favorite button?
Yeah.
Donate.
Oh yeah, donate.
At least Sam remembers me.
Well, with him being
What
an
you talking about,
LLC,
Willis?
I don't know.
Come on now.
Yeah,
Oh, I can't
with him
take
being
the,
an LLC.
if they want to help a veteran, just buy my book. They get it. They get some perspective that they probably aren't expecting to get, and hopefully some hope. And that helps me fuel all the things that I do. So,
But with a hand up, like with that, because you do use those funds to better things for a veteran. So,
but I'm not a 501c3.
Right.
He's
But
an
some
LLC.
people, I get that. Goodness, I heard that at the beginning. But still, he is taking that funding to help with other things with veterans. And if Eric has piqued their interest and they're like, this is where I want to help. This is where I want to help funding. Is there something they can do other than just buy your book? Because they need to do that anyways. Go get it.
So if they want to do more than what the cost of the book is for, buy a bunch of books for their friends and family and for veterans or their church. And
I like Eric, you're humble.
Or feel free to buy the photography. And then there is a hand up merchandise store where everything is made in America. Fortunately, I don't really have any break on those sweatshirts. And if you use a coupon on them, I will lose money. But it was important to me that they're made in America, not somewhere else. So, what I would say is literally just, support me there, or, bring me in to speak for your organization, bring me in to host a workshop, a training workshop, a resilience leadership workshop. But for whatever you'll always get something with me.
So how do they just get a hold of you by going to Eric?
It's not just getting, just give me money. You'll always get something. And they can get a hold of me by going to ericdonoho.com, and all of the contact information is there.
Well, Mr. Eric, I want to thank you for coming on here and hanging out with us for this hour. Go get his book. If you're like Sam and I, we're going to wait for the audio books for them to come out. We'll get them then.
That's me too.
So go
really
get his book at ericdonoho.com, or you go to Amazon, search up Canyon of Hope, and go buy his book. Or if you want to buy an awesome acrylic painting, go to Eric Donoho, go down to where they're at the bottom, order and get you an acrylic painting, or go to the merch store. That way you can support Eric and his mission to help better veterans' lives. So go check it out. But Eric, thank you again for coming on and hanging out with us.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to share with your audience, and I really appreciate you guys helping me sell books.
Hey, you're very, very welcome, my friend. So we're going to drop you down if you want to hang around for a little bit while we close out the show, and we can talk afterwards, or you can go ahead and do what you need to do.
Okay.
Hold on.
Cool.
What is wrong with all these veteran authors? Are they not going to learn they need to do a color by number?
Why would they need to do a color by number?
I don't know. They might not finish the book because you're going to eat all the crowns first.
We might eat all the crowns.
That's why they don't do.
Yeah, that's why they don't do that.
Maybe a by number.
Well, hello, Miss Stephanie. How are you tonight? No, that was super cool, man. I'm thankful for Rich Little Monica with the Misfit Nation for sending Eric our way. Reading, through his website and reading, his bio and stuff like that, I was like, man, this is going to be an awesome episode. And he did not disappoint. And he's like a lot of us veterans out there, where we don't want to be put on that pedestal. I would much rather myself not be put on a pedestal. I know, Candace, you're like, oh, you served, you signed your name on that dotted line, but that's just the servant heart in us. So I don't need to be on no pedestal, and Gunny doesn't need to be on a pedestal. Eric don't need to be on a pedestal.
And like I said, it's perspective. My perspective is anybody that signed that line, you are on a pedestal to me. Period. It's what it is. I have an enormous amount of respect for you, whether it is you decided that you wanted to learn if you were as badass as your daddy was, or if you just wanted to get away from home and go get away, or you were having a baby, or there was a great bonus, whatever it was, you still made a choice, and you still could have at some point gave that ultimate sacrifice, no matter what. So from my perspective, you'll always be put on a pedestal. Now, you're my brother. There's a difference in that pedestal, because I'll kick you right off of it. But no, I think there is a line of respect. And not all of us civilians are like that, but I feel that way, and it's definitely perspective. But I get it. Like, looking outside the box and seeing how you guys would feel that way, that you don't think that you're deserving of it. One is the main reason for most of you is because you don't think you deserve it. Well, yes, you do. Yes, you do. First, absolutely you do. I don't care what you did. I don't care if you were in admin or you were jumping out of helicopters, because I guarantee you, most of us wouldn't do it. We wouldn't, knowing what the possibilities behind it were. But that man, just like you two, is a very humble man. And I love that. And that's something to be respected. It really is. No, my daddy's on here.
Hey, what's up, Marcus and Stephanie? I'm doing good. I'm like Sam there. I'm more of a Roy than a Ted.
What?
I think he's lagging a little bit. You lagging, Gunny? Just a little bit?
Freaking probably. I wouldn't doubt it.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit, Gunny.
Stupid.
All right, this is you. This is you, Gunny.
If it freaking goes through, you're not alone. You still have worth. You still have value. It's okay not to be okay. I will encourage everybody to choose growth.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. And then, like we always say on HomeFront Sitrep, hashtag be somebody's stranger. And what I mean by that, we as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the one we love the most, than the ones we love the most. So go have that conversation with somebody today. If you see somebody having a bad day, go talk to them. Say, hey, how you doing? And if they answer, I'm hanging in there, I'm okay, I'm living a dream, then ask the next hard question. How are you really doing? But be ready for that conversation, because that conversation could be a 5-minute conversation, could be a 5-hour conversation. You have to be ready for that conversation. So ask the next hard question. And then our partners down below here, Heroes Media Group, Reach Across America Radio, Veterans Voice Radio, and Military United podcast streams. Go check them out. Go like them. Go follow them. Do everything that's out there that you need to do. HomeFront Sitrep is on Reach Across America Radios on Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern. Make sure, Gunny, I pronounced that properly. So go check it out, www.reachacrossamerica.org/radio. And you can find them on the Audacity app, TuneIn app, and iHeartRadio. So, and search the word Reith. You can find us there as well. And then tonight, I am wearing our Same Flag, Same Oath.com t-shirt, which says Marine It Down on it.
In crown print.
In crown. It's written in crown as well. So the link is scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now. Same Flag, Same Oath.com/products/Marine #it#down. Go check it out. Or you can just go to sameflagsameoath.com. and go to co-branded, and you can find our shirt there. At the end of the year, HomeFront Sitrep will get 25% of all sales of the t-shirts, and we're going to donate that money to a nonprofit. We'll create a spinny wheel here and put all the nonprofits in it, and whoever it selects us, who's going to get that money. So go buy the shirt. And then we also have another shirt. It's on 222mini.printify.me. It's a HomeFront Sitrep, just a logo, our logo on it. So go check that out as well. Candace, guess what? You are back, and I'm glad you are back.
You're back.
So welcome back.
Quiet, did you?
What?
You didn't think I was going to come back quiet, did you?
No.
Huh.
No.
Good.
No, I'm glad you're back, because you add a new perspective to things, because you are civilian, so you do add a new perspective to things. So welcome back. Go check out our website. We just launched it today. It's homefrontsitrep.com. It's still in the works. We're going to be adding some stuff, taking some stuff away. So go check out our website, homefrontsitrep.com. Bookmark it, all that good jazz. Send it to your friends and let them see it as well. So, and then the coins. I can't wait for them to come, Gunny. I can't wait for them to come. And then I want to give a big shout out to Elite Engraving for this awesome HomeFront Sitrep hat. Elite Engraving is a veteran-owned company, so go check them out. But it's that time of night, people. It is that time of night. And you know what, Candace? You ain't been here. So guess what? You get to take us out tonight. Wait.
We have Tip of the Spear Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern this Wednesday.
Yes. And we're going to be talking about the disparity in treatment between female veterans and male veterans.
Oh, boy.
It's going to be a topic that might irk some people, but it's a topic that needs to be talked about. Because female veterans, they serve just like their counterparts, us males, and they deserve the same respect when it comes to their service. So it's going to be a good conversation. So make sure you tune in. 7 p.m. What time, Gunny? 7 p.m. what?
Eastern
Time.
Eastern.
Why can you not say that?
I say it. I'm saying Eastern.
Say it together.
Eastern.
Hey, Sam, it's almost Easter. It's all right.
It's almost Easter. Woo, woo, woo. But anyhow, Candace, take us out.
All right. It was great being back. Looking forward to it. You're going to see my face some more. So like we always say on here, stay safe out there. We got your 6.
We got your 6. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.